my name is Emma, and I am here today with best-selling author Marissa Meyer. If you don't know, Marissa is the author of The Lunar Chronicles, Wires and Nerve, and most recently, Renegades. So today we're going to be talking about some of her books. I'm going to be grilling you on all of the questions that I want to know.
Okay. Get ready for it. Okay.
And so, as we are here to talk about Renegades and Archenemies with the sequel's release coming out soon, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about Renegades?
Yes, so Renegades is my superhero story. It's the first of a trilogy, and it is about a girl named Nova who has been raised by supervillains, and she hates the Renegades, which are a syndicate of very powerful superheroes who pretty much run the world that she's in. And she has a good reason to hate them. She believes that they betrayed her family when she was a kid, and so she's made it her mission to take them down. But then she meets a boy named Adrian, who is a renegade, and they start to develop feelings for each other, not realizing that their alter egos are at the same time becoming arch enemies.
It is so fantastic. So I really want to know what came to your mind first when you envisioned the story of Renegades. Was it the characters? Was it this cast of people with superhero abilities? The political hierarchy? Like, what was the first thing that made you say, I want to write about this?
Yeah, for me it was the seed of the idea was this idea of a supervillain falling in love with a superhero. And having that, you know, the push and the pull, the romantic element, of course, but also being star-crossed loves. Like, I love the idea that as civilians or as normal people, they're developing all these feelings for each other, but they don't know their secret identities. And so that was really what made me fall in love with the idea and the concept from the beginning.
Yeah, speaking of the romance, I feel that one thing out of the many things that sets Renegades apart from a lot of the YA books out there is how slow burn the relationship between Nova and Adrian is. You know, we all know about the insta-love in YA, but Adrian and Nova really have this like slow development of, you know, starting out as strangers to friends to potentially lovers. We don't even really know yet. And so what about it? Like, what about the relationship made you really want to drag it out and make it, in my opinion, more realistic than a lot of the love stories that we do read in YA science fiction fantasy?
Yeah, I think for me, like, I love writing romance, and I'm always so excited to get to the kiss part. It's like, when I'm writing any story, I'm like, can't they just kiss already? But as a reader, I'm the same way. Like, I prefer a slow build. If you know, a couple gets together too soon in a story, then I tend to lose interest.
Yeah,
and be like, oh, you know, that's done with. We can move on. And also, there's a realism aspect to it. You know, Adrian and Nova, they don't know each other at the beginning. You know, they're meeting each other for the first time in the first chapter of Renegades. And you, of course, in real life, there are stories of people, you know, having that instant love and that instant connection. It happens. But in fiction, it's much more believable and I think interesting if you can show the development of those feelings and all of the things that go, you know, will they, won't they, and, you know, learning about each other and getting to know each other and figuring out what do we really want.
Definitely, definitely. I know when you said, why won't they just kiss already? I'm like, that is my mood the entire time I'm reading Renegades.
Oh, good.
It's the best feeling. It's the good, like, when will this tension be released? So Renegades has a really interesting story because it was originally a standalone, and then it became a duology, and now it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize, you know, well, whether it was like writing the first book or once you finished it, at what point did you say, like, I have more of a story to tell, I want to tell more?
So both times, so yeah, it was a standalone, and I wrote the standalone, and as I was writing, it kept getting longer and longer and longer. And ended up being like, it was more than 200,000 words long. And my editor read it, and it was a complete contained story. Like, I did finish it in those 200,000 words. But after my editor read it, she was like, you could go into so much more depth on so many of these things. And she was absolutely right. And so that was kind of when I started to realize, okay, well, we could, divide it into 2 books, and I could really, dig into some of those subplots that I didn't have a chance to dig into. So now it's 2 books. Finished Renegades, and that's done. Working on Archenemies. And again, I finished the book. It had the climax, it had the finale. I thought it was done. And again, I sent it to my editor. And she again pointed out, like, you're really skipping on a lot of things that you really could go into so much more detail on. And again, she was absolutely correct. So, okay, it's now a trilogy.
So do you feel a lot has changed from Renegades being a standalone? Like, has the ending completely changed of where you're going? Is there a lot of changes that had to be made to, like, the world building? Or was it, like, pretty easy to divide them all up?
I wouldn't say it was easy, but the world building pretty much stayed the same. The characters pretty much stayed the same. It was just really a matter of digging into some of the subplots. Like the main overarching plot between Nova and Adrian and Nightmare and the Sentinel, that all stayed pretty consistent. But everything else, all of the conflict between the Renegades and the Anarchists, and the relationship between Ruby and Oscar, and there's just like all of these other friendships and things that ended up being developed much further, and in developing them ended up changing them a lot. So some things changed and some things not so much.
That's good to know. So speaking of friendships and the character dynamics in Renegades, even with the Lunar Chronicles, you're known for writing really strong friendships, almost as if they are like a found family. So what is it about these friendships that really draws you to writing them? Is it something that you take from your personal life? Is it something that you personally enjoy reading about?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that it probably goes back to my love of Sailor Moon, which I was obsessed with as a teenager, and I wrote tons of Sailor Moon fan fiction.
Oh my gosh.
And for me, like, discovering Sailor Moon as a teenager, I loved the romance in it, of course. It's a great romance, but I also really appreciated how that story dealt so much with the friendships between these 5 girls. And seeing that as a teenager, and that's just not something, friendships between girls in particular, you just don't see that a lot in fiction.
Totally.
And I felt like I really needed that at that age. And so I really loved it then, and I think that's just kind of gone on to inspire what I do now.
Oh, I think that's wonderful.
Yay, Sailor Moon!
So if the cast of the Lunar Chronicles and Renegades were to meet, who do you feel would be best friends, and who do you think would become archenemies?
Oh gosh. Good question. I think that Scarlet and Nova would get along really well. Yeah,
for sure.
They'd be besties. Although that's like a lot of headstrongness happening in one room.
All the strong women of one.
Yeah. Who would be archenemies?
Or do you think they would just maybe all get along like one big happy family?
No, because there's a lot of big personalities happening there, and you're always going to have some conflict.
Very true.
I think Thorn would drive Nova absolutely bonkers.
Oh my goodness, of course. I didn't even think of that.
I don't know. For the most part, I think they would all probably get along. Unless you start mixing the anarchists,
Oh
too.
my goodness, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of, like, Ingrid and Cinder just, like, interacting
Yes,
together. It's just
right?
like, totally clash.
Right. Or like Thorn and Honey.
Oh my goodness.
Like, who is more beautiful?
Oh my God. That is the fan fiction I need immediately.
Yes, right? You're on it, people.
So I have a couple of just, like, questions about, like, if you were in the world of Renegade.
Okay.
So would you rather be a renegade or an anarchist?
Renegade.
Totally.
Yeah, no, anarchy scares me. I did a ton of research on anarchy and like the principles behind anarchy, because there are people and there are communities that really try to live by the principles of, free will and let everyone do their own thing, and and it's like you can kind of see the appeal of it, like government, stay out of my life, stay out of my wallet, blah blah blah. You can kind of understand what they're going for, but in reality, like, it just doesn't tend to go that well.
Yeah, I mean, like, sleeping in tunnels doesn't necessarily sound like
the
the most
that
attractive
too.
choice.
There's like the little details, but of course they don't want to be sleeping in tunnels.
So out of the superhero abilities that have been included in Renegades, is there one particular favorite you have that you've written about?
Oh, Novas.
Novas?
I love the idea of never having to sleep.
It can be so productive.
Exactly. And it's such a nerdy reason to want a superpower. Like, just think of all the books that I could read. And it's, you're not going to be saving the world with that, but it would be really nice.
Yeah,
I would love
totally
to never
get
have to sleep and to never feel tired and yeah.
So I feel like this is like a stereotypical question when it comes to books like this, but if you were a prodigy, what would your superpower be?
Writing is probably not a superpower. World creation. Just like being able to create things with my mind.
That would be pretty cool.
Very cool.
Just
Which I guess is sort of like what Nova's dad did. Just being able to like use the energy in the air around to create things.
Yeah, but that's such a convenient power.
Super
you'd
convenient.
Never be able, you would always have it with you.
Yeah, right.
Awesome.
But I feel like as a writer, that's sort of what I do. Like you take ideas out of the ether and try to mold them into something.
So if you had this ability to create things out of just like what is in the air, do you have any idea what your name would be? You're putting me on the spot here.
Yeah, no ideas. The Mystic, maybe.
The Mystic. Ooh.
Just pull that out of nowhere.
It sounds like a really good Renegade name.
I'm sure Marvel's already done it.
That's funny. What anarchist would you not want to meet in a dark alley?
The puppeteer.
Ooh,
although he wouldn't really affect me because his power only works on children. But he scares me. I mean, I love him, and he's a super fun character to write.
Totally.
But he's definitely the one that's like the most out there. Yeah, I worry about Winston.
Yeah, there's just something just like inherently like creepy about his vibe.
He's
that
super
just makes
creepy.
everyone
He's
uncomfortable.
super creepy.
I feel like I would have to choose Phobia.
Oh yeah,
Phobia terrifies me.
As he well should.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
That's kind of the point.
Literally his power.
Right.
And so, how long do you think you would last if you were undercover at the Renegades before your identity was revealed?
No.
Do you have you don't have any confidence in yourself?
No, zero, none. I don't think. I would say something to give myself away. Like I wouldn't be able to balance all of my lies and the stories and what is my fake name again and who are my parents and what am I doing here, and I would.
I know. Yeah. I mean, it seems really stressful. Like I'm watching Nova and I'm like, oh my goodness, just like every moment is like so stressful.
Yeah, right.
And so, just one final question: what are you currently working on now?
Book 3 of Renegades, the Renegades Trilogy. We have a title, but I can't tell you what it is. And so it's my project, and it's going really good, and I can't wait to share it with everyone, even though that's like a long ways away.
But I know, but it's like it already it feels so close but so far away because it's the end.
It's the end.
It's the end. So there's no chance.
We're pretty sure this is the last one. Pretty sure.
No, I'll cross my fingers and hope for like 7 more Renegades books. Do you have any plans for after Renegades, or right now your focus is just like the final book?
That's really what I'm focusing on. I have some kind of just like fun side projects that I'm working on. I really want to write a picture book while my kids are still in picture book school or picture book age. So I'm working on some of those. One of my lifelong writer dreams has been to write a Hallmark holiday movie. So as Christmas is getting closer, that's like, okay, this is the year. It's going to happen. And then I have, of course, tons of ideas for my next novel as well. So, but I don't know which one I'll be working on yet.
That's so exciting. You have so much to choose from.
So much, so much.
I feel like that's also a cursing bless, because it's like you don't have a lack of ideas, but it's like, which one do I choose to develop first?
Which one do you choose? Where do you find the time to write them all? Yeah, it's a problem, but it's a good problem to have.
That's very true. All right, well, thank you so much, Marissa,
for
being on my channel. If you haven't already, you must check out Renegades. It's amazing, and Archenemies comes out very soon. It's November 6th.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait for it to be out in the world because I read it. It's amazing. But thank you so much for being on my channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon for a new video. Bye.